The forbidden fungi. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a golden hue over the dense trees. Birds sang their evening songs, and the distant murmur of water indicated the presence of the nearby lake. A gravel path led two young women deeper into the heart of the forest, their backpacks brimming with camping gear. "Are you sure about this place, Lila?" Maya asked, her eyes darting around the seemingly endless expanse of trees. The city had never seemed so far away. Her hands clenched the straps of her backpack, feeling the weight of her decision to accompany her more adventurous friend. Lila, with her wild curls bouncing with every step, turned to Maya with a grin that could only be described as mischievous. "Absolutely. This is the perfect spot. Just you wait till you see the lake. Pictures don't do it justice." Maya sighed, her anxiety evident. "I've heard weird stories about this place, you know. Locals don't usually come here." Laughing off Maya's concerns, Lila replied, "That's because locals don't know how to have fun. Besides, those are just stories. What could possibly go wrong?" As they continued walking, the forest grew denser, and the sky took on a rich orange and pink hue. It wasn't long before they reached a clearing. Before them lay a pristine lake, its waters reflecting the twilight. The view was breathtaking. Feeling a rush of excitement, Lila set down her backpack and spread her arms wide. "Told ya," she exclaimed, inhaling deeply. Maya had to admit, the place was beautiful. Maybe coming here wasn't such a bad idea after all. The two set to work, pitching their tent and setting up camp. As the last light of day vanished, they sat around a campfire, the crackling flames illuminating their faces. After some time, Lila reached into her bag and pulled out a small pouch. Her eyes twinkled with a mix of excitement and mischief as she revealed its contents, a handful of peculiar-looking mushrooms. "I thought we could try these," Lila suggested with a sly smile. "Connect with nature, you know?" Maya hesitated, remembering the legends and warnings. But looking at Lila's expectant face and the serene surroundings, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, it could be an experience worth taking a risk for. The soft glow of the campfire painted an ever-changing dance of light and shadow upon the girls' faces. The forest seemed to grow still, as if it too was awaiting Maya's decision regarding the peculiar fungi Lila held in her hands. Maya hesitated, her gaze flitting between the mushrooms and Lila's eager face. "I've never done anything like this before, Lila. What if something goes wrong?" Lila chuckled, placing a comforting hand on Maya's shoulder. "We're in the heart of nature, Maya. People have been using these for centuries to connect more deeply with the world around them. We'll be fine. Just a small dose." Drawing a deep breath, Maya finally relented, her adventurous side stirred by Lila's persuasive words. "Okay, just a bit. Let's connect with nature." The two girls consumed a careful portion of the mushrooms, chasing them down with water from their canteens. The night around them seemed to pulse, the chirping of crickets and distant calls of nocturnal creatures becoming a symphony of the night. At first, everything was surreal yet beautiful. The stars above shimmered with an intensity neither had seen before, creating intricate patterns in the night sky. The lake, bathed in moonlight, mirrored the celestial ballet, its waters rippling with every gentle breeze. Lila swayed to the rhythm of the forest, her laughter melodious. "Do you feel it, Maya? It's like the forest is alive, breathing with us." Maya nodded, feeling a profound connection to everything around her. "It's incredible, Lila. I've never felt anything like this before." Time seemed to stretch, with moments feeling like hours and minutes blending into one another. But as the night deepened, the enchantment started to take a more sinister turn. Maya's ears pricked up. Among the natural symphony of the woods, she discerned a faint, unfamiliar whisper. Straining her ears, she tried to understand, but the words remained elusive, like a song carried away by the wind. "Lila," Maya whispered, her voice lucid with apprehension. "Do you hear that?" Leela, lost in her own world, paused and tilted her head, trying to catch the sound. "Hear what? It's just the forest, Maya. It's speaking to us." But Maya wasn't convinced. The whispers grew more persistent, weaving through the trees, encircling the campsite. Panic began to take root in her heart. Had they awakened something in the forest? Or was it all just a hallucination? The two girls sat close together, the campfire's warmth a stark contrast to the growing cold of uncertainty and fear. As the first hints of dawn began to paint the sky, Maya couldn't shake off the feeling that they were no longer alone in the woods. The whispers, though still unintelligible, carried a warning. And so, under the canopy of trees and the watchful eyes of the stars, the night deepened, leading them further into a world they were only beginning to understand. The subtle hues of dawn began to filter through the trees, casting an ethereal glow on the landscape. But the beauty of the impending sunrise did little to comfort Maya, who felt increasingly ensnared by the enigmatic whispers that surrounded them. The soft murmurs seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, a cacophony of hushed voices that seemed to grow in intensity with every passing moment. Some sounded like sorrowful laments, while others bore an undercurrent of anger. Lila, with eyes half closed, swayed gently as if in a trance. Her lips moved, murmuring responses to the voices only she could understand. "They're ancient," she whispered, her voice distant. "They've been here long before us. They know secrets." Maya grabbed Lila's arm, trying to snap her out of her daze. "Leela, we need to leave. This isn't right." But Lila seemed lost, her gaze fixed on the dark waters of the lake. "They want to show us, Maya, the heart of the forest, the truth." Alarmed by her friend's behavior, Maya began to pack up their belongings hastily. The once soothing sounds of the forest now felt menacing, each rustle of leaves or snap of a twig amplifying her fear. As Maya scrambled to douse the campfire, a chilling gust of wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing the flames. The temperature seemed to drop suddenly, and the first rays of the sun were overshadowed by a thick, unnatural fog that rolled in from the lake. From within the mist, shadowy figures began to materialize. At first, they were indistinct, but as they moved closer, their forms became clearer. Ancient spirits with sorrowful eyes and faces etched with time. They moved silently, their gazes fixed on the two intruders who had dared to disturb their realm. Maya, paralyzed with fear, watched as one of the spirits approached Leela, extending a hand towards her. Leela, still entranced, took a step forward, reaching out in return. "No!" Maya screamed, lunging forward to pull her friend back. But as her hands touched Lila's arm, a jolt of energy sent her sprawling backward. The spirits circled them, their whispers growing louder, forming a haunting chorus. "Forbidden," they chanted. "Intruders. Desecrators." Desperation filled Maya's heart. She had to get Lila out of there. She had to find a way to appease the angered spirits. But how? And what did they want? The answers remained shrouded in the thickening fog and the ever-intensifying whispers of the woods. The spectral figures moved gracefully, their forms shimmering as they circled the two girls. The air grew colder with each passing second, and the whispers evolved into discernible words that echoed through the clearing. Desecrators, trespassers, leave. Maya, desperation driving her, mustered the courage to speak. "We didn't know. Please, let us go. We meant no harm." One spirit, slightly taller than the rest, with a crown of leaves adorning its head, stepped forward. Its gaze was penetrating, its eyes deep pools of ancient wisdom and sorrow. "You have consumed the forbidden, disturbed the sanctity of this sacred land," it intoned. Lila, snapping slightly out of her trance, clung to Maya. "We're sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "We just wanted to connect, to understand." The crowned spirit seemed to consider their words, its gaze shifting between the two terrified girls and the remains of their camp. "Ignorance is not an excuse, but your intentions were not malevolent." Maya, sensing a glimmer of hope, spoke again. What can we do? How can we make amends? The spirit, after a moment of contemplation, replied, The forest requires a binding oath, a promise never to desecrate its land again, to respect its sanctity, and to share its tale so others might not make the same mistake. Lila nodded vigorously. Anything, we promise. But the spirit's gaze fixed on Maya. It's not that simple. Promises are easily made but often forgotten. This oath binds not just your words but your very essence. Understanding the gravity of the commitment, Maya hesitated for a split second, but thinking of their dire situation and the chance at redemption, she finally agreed. I understand, and I accept. A soft glow emanated from the spirit's hand as it reached out, touching Maya's forehead. A rush of memories, emotions, and visions flooded her, the history of the forest, its joys and its sorrows. She felt a profound connection, a bond that was now eternally forged. As the spirit withdrew, the fog began to lift, and the other spirits retreated into the trees, their forms dissolving into the morning light. The crowned spirit, before vanishing, left them with a final warning. Honor your oath, for the forest watches and remembers. The two girls, drained and overwhelmed, clung to each other. The forest, though still filled with mystery, now bore a silent testament to their binding oath. The sun had fully risen now, casting a warm golden light that contrasted starkly with the chilling events of the night. Maya and Lila, still reeling from their encounter, began to pack up their camp, the weight of their oath heavy on their hearts. Lila, her voice shaky, broke the silence. Maya, what did you see when the spirit touched you? Maya hesitated, gathering her thoughts. It was overwhelming. I saw the history of this forest, its creation, its destruction, and its rebirth. But most of all, I felt its pain. The pain of being forgotten, mistreated, and taken for granted. As they walked back through the forest, Maya could see it in a new light. Every tree, every stone, every rustling leaf seemed to hold memories, echoes of the past that she could now sense. She felt a deep sense of responsibility, not just because of the oath, but because of the connection she now shared with the forest. Lila, noticing Maya's deep reflection, gently prodded. You seem different. Maya looked at her friend, a smile forming on her lips. I think I am. That oath, it changed me. I feel like I've been entrusted with something invaluable. Lila nodded, her expression serious. We have a responsibility now, not just to the forest but to ourselves and others. We need to share our experience, let people know the importance of respecting nature. The journey back was filled with introspection. The forest, which once seemed menacing, now felt like a protective guardian, guiding them back to safety. The whispers, though faint, were no longer chilling but rather comforting, like a lullaby from the earth. As they reached the edge of the forest, they noticed an old woman waiting by the entrance, her eyes sharp and piercing. She approached them with a knowing smile. I've been expecting you, she said, her voice raspy yet kind. The forest told me of your encounter. Maya and Lila exchanged surprised glances. Who are you? Maya inquired. The old woman chuckled. I'm a keeper of the forest, just like you are now, and there's much you need to learn. The old woman led them to a secluded clearing, where ancient trees stood tall, their roots intertwined as if sharing secrets from eons past. In the centre of the clearing was a stone altar, worn by time but etched with intricate symbols that pulsed faintly with a gentle light. I am Mira, the old woman began, the current guardian of this forest. And you two, she looked at Maya and Lila with a twinkle in her eye, have been chosen by the forest itself to carry on its legacy. Lila, her curiosity piqued, asked, What does it mean to be a guardian? Mira sighed. It means to protect, to preserve, and to educate. It's a responsibility passed down through generations, ensuring that the bond between man and nature is never severed. Maya, recalling her vision, whispered, I saw the pain of the forest, the scars of the past. Mira nodded solemnly. Yes, and it's our duty to heal those wounds and prevent new ones. The forest has chosen you because it saw something within you, a connection, a potential. Lila, her determination shining through, declared, "We won't let it down." Mira smiled. "I believe you. But remember, being a guardian is not just about protecting the forest but also teaching others to understand and respect it." The old guardian then led them to the stone altar. "Place your hands upon it," she instructed. As they did, a rush of energy surged through them. Memories, knowledge, and emotions of past guardians flooded into their minds, intertwining with their own experiences. It was an initiation, a passing of the torch. Days turned into weeks as Mira taught Maya and Lila the ways of the guardians, the rituals, the symbols, and the stories of the forest. They learned to communicate with the spirits, to heal damaged parts of the woods, and to guide others safely through its depths. Time seemed to blur, and when the day came for Mira to leave, entrusting the forest to its new guardians, the bond between the three women was unbreakable. As Mira disappeared into the trees, she left behind not just her legacy, but also a promise that the forest and its guardians would always be intertwined, protecting and preserving the delicate balance of nature. Maya and Lila, standing at the entrance of the forest, looked at each other with newfound purpose. Their adventure had not just been a tale of survival but also of discovery, of the forest, of their roles as guardians, and of themselves. And so, as the sun set, casting a golden hue over the woods, the two new guardians began their journey, ensuring that the stories, lessons, and mysteries of the forest would be passed down for generations to come.